Today we react to why Angry Birds is dying. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe down below. Also, hit that like button and subscribe down below to Sunny VTube, who's the person who made this video. And yeah, I hope you enjoy. Bye! Alright, we're gonna watch this. We're gonna see how this goes, okay?
Back in 2011, Angry Birds was everywhere. They had multiple different games, toys, and movies, generating hundreds of millions of dollars. But by 2019, they were firing masses of staff, and since then things have only gotten worse. Perhaps it's just karma for stealing the initial idea. Angry Birds wasn't an original concept. In April 2009, a game was released named Crush the Castle, which required players to fire a trebuchet into wooden structure hiding many
literally
people.
Angry Birds.
Well, 8 months later, in December 2009, game developer Rovio made an app named Angry Birds, which, while clearly being a rip-off, was better in every way. It had cooler, cleaner animated graphics, and different stages, each with different levels. You got points for every enemy killed, and points for every bird you didn't use, giving players the chance to compete for high scores. Throw in 5 different birds with 5 different abilities.
Dude, I remember having the Angry Birds. I remember using these when I was a kid. I thought that they didn't have power-ups. I'm not gonna lie to you. For a while, I didn't know they had power-ups, so I would just shoot them and I'll be like, damn, how are these people doing it so well? My dumbass thought that there was no power-ups until I clicked it once and I was like, whoa! And like my eyes opened.
They developed 51 games prior to Angry Birds, none of which saw even the smallest bit of success. Therefore, when Angry Birds took only 2 months to become the #1 paid app in 60 countries, they understandably took the chance to milk it. They'd make loads of different varieties like Angry Birds Seasons, Angry Birds Space, and Angry Birds Star.
Oh my god, I remember Angry Birds Space. That was the game that we did, that my parents bought. My parents bought the Space one and I think the Star Wars one. We never got the, like, I don't think we got the original one if I'm not mistaken. Maybe we did, I don't know. That was like years ago, so I don't remember.
Star Wars, helping it become the #1 paid app in Apple's App Store with 6 to 7 million paid downloads. By the end of Angry Birds' first year, they'd made $10 million US, but players still demanded more. We have so many fans who have asked
more. I hate that.
For the plush toys. So these are going to be available in a couple of weeks. And we're really trying to build Angry Birds into this entertainment franchise. It took only 4 months before that announced 60,000 Angry Birds soft toys have been sold, as the game itself became the best-selling paid app of all time. Within Angry Birds itself, that implement microtransactions like Mighty Eagle, which allowed players to pay to clear entire levels. With celebs like Justin Bieber even advocating for it, Angry Birds made $100 million in 2011 and went from 28 employees in the beginning of the year to 224 employees by the end of 2011. 5 months later, they set a new world record. First mobile game series to reach 1 billion downloads. They'd double their revenue again by the end of 2012, at which point they started to face a serious problem. The game was getting stale. They'd made multiple different Angry Birds versions, but hadn't changed the concept in over 3 years. As a result, in the following year, their profits more than halved, with Angry Birds falling to 59th in the App Store, forcing the franchise to try a new format. They'd release Angry Birds Go at the end of 2013, and while this was somewhat of a Mario Kart ripoff, people absolutely loved it.
Oh, I don't know about that.
It is good fun, it looks good, it plays well.
When was that? Have you guys seen that before? I've never seen that before. Okay, yeah, so I'm not the only one who doesn't know.
Rovio therefore continued to experiment, releasing an RPG game named Angry Birds Epic, which again received incredible reviews, reading, "The latest Angry Birds title is a welcome addition to a franchise which hasn't seen much change since its inception back in 2009. Similarly, users said it might be the best RPG title I've ever played."
Wow.
And honestly, a pretty solid time. I think the approach they went with here really worked and paid off.
The only problem was, these games didn't sell merch like the original Slingshot format.
Wow.
Therefore, merchandise sales plummeted, while total 2014 revenue dropped, and profits fell 73% to 10 million euros. As a result, media outlets reported, Rovio lays off 110 people as Angry Birds hype fades, representing 14% of the company's workforce. They try to fix their decline with yet another experiment,
Never seen
Angry
this one
Birds
either.
Pop, which was pretty unsuccessful.
Never
In a
seen
Reddit
that.
thread asking, out of all the Angry Birds games, which one do you think is the worst, Pop was mentioned many times over. Therefore, they'd go back to basics and put out Angry Birds 2, the official sequel, although many called it a downgrade from the original. The sequel was filled to the brim with
Dude,
microtransactions.
I don't get it, man. Especially like with the like what they just said with the microtransactions, like where they make people buy shit so that way they could have shit. It's so stupid. It's so dumb, man. Just let people play the game instead of like having a fucking paywall behind it. Like yeah, if you gotta have to pay the game, pay to play, then that makes sense. But like not the fucking pay to win type shit. It's stupid. It was like a fucking. Because nowadays apps are stupid, you know?
Clearly annoying the fan base who wrote, "This is a very greedy game that keeps sucking money out of you. If you play well, the game becomes harder and harder until it's impossible, and then you either have to
I'm fucking. Maybe I am a child, but bitch, I'm fucking 8 years old, this child.
play each level 10 times, or buy gems. The game is just trying to throw you off balance and get under your skin so that you pay more." The official IGN review said the game took significant steps backward for the massively popular series. Angry Birds 2 is missing key parts of what made previous games so universally compelling to gamers both hardcore and casual, young and old. Still, due to its intense monetization, Angry Birds 2 became their highest earning game. Surprisingly, however, that very same year, they'd announced losses of almost 15 million and would fire a further third of their workforce, this
Wow.
time being over 200 people. This seemed to imply that Angry Birds was dead until they'd make an unexpected comeback. Turns out they'd spent the previous 3 years privately developing the Angry Birds movie. At a cost of
Oh,
73
yeah, the Angry
million,
Birds
they'd
movie.
made a risky bet.
But yeah, fucking, I remember that movie. The movie was okay. It wasn't great. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't remember much of the movies. And I hate to say it, I don't remember much of the movies. And if I don't remember it, it's not as good. I won't lie.
But with a star-studded cast and a fun little story, the Angry Birds movie did surprisingly well. It made over 350 million from its 70 million budget and put Angry Birds back into the public spotlight. People began replaying their previously released games, while Angry Birds theme parks popped up in different countries.
Theme parks?
Media outlets reported Rovio Games had its best year ever in 2016. However, the gaming releases that Angry Birds was known for was still declining in quality. In his video, "I played and ranked every Angry Birds game so you don't have to," Jake Miller talks about Angry Birds Action.
Angry Birds Action was the start of using the new anthropomorphic designs from the movies in their games, which I think most fans agree was the real beginning of the end for the series.
Which happened to be the first game after the movie. Similarly, in the Reddit thread asking about the worst Angry Birds game, one user implied it was most of them after the movie's
Damn.
release. Said games included Angry Birds Fight, aka a Candy Crush ripoff, as well as Angry Birds Match, which was described as extremely bland. However,
Damn.
thankfully for Rovio, their older titles were still extremely popular, with Angry Birds 2's revenue growing 47% in 2018, despite it being over 3 years old. This gave them the budget to make a second movie. However, their $65 million bet didn't pay off so
Yeah,
well
the
this
second movie
time.
wasn't that
Forbes
great.
wrote Angry Birds
I don't
2
remember it.
is worse than the original in nearly every way, whilst Rotten Tomatoes critics added, "A distressingly ineffective sequel that grows less
I
and
don't
less
remember much of the
interesting
movies. Yeah, I
and
don't
more
remember them.
tiresome as it unfolds." Still, the movie made a profit of 82 million, right as the company was making some weird changes. Despite their older games being low maintenance, Rovio decided to completely stop updating them. Then, without explanation, some of the older beloved titles, including the original Angry Birds were deleted from the App Store.
Oh, that was
When people
stupid.
began to talk about what they'd done, people made compilations stating Angry Birds was dead. There were comments like, "Remember when Rovio actually cared?" whilst hashtag BringBack2012 began to trend on Twitter. Things got so bad that Rovio apologized, stating they only did it as maintaining the highest quality of updates and live operations isn't possible with our older games. In response to the backlash, that announced they planned on redeveloping Angry Birds Classic, which was re-released on the App Store in 2022, but at a price of $1.99 with no in-game purchases.
Okay.
They changed Classic's name to Red's First Flight,
What?
making it harder to find in the App Store, thus
Why would
prompting
they do
players
that?
to buy the newer, more profitable games.
What the fuck? Oh, so they can. Oh, that's why they did that, because they want to make money. Because no, companies don't care about us. That's why companies don't care about us, you know? That's why they changed the fucking name. You know why? So that way their new games can like do that with the stupid microtransactions. Fuck, man.
This successfully fooled some people who struggled to find it on the App Store. However, others knew exactly what Angry Birds was doing.
Yep.
They got rid of the old ones so that you would have no other choice than to play the modern Candy Crush-esque games. They despised the games that made the company and so lost its spirit. Rovio basically confirmed this, openly stating they changed the name due to the game's impact on our wider games portfolio.
Stupid.
They further requested that fans continue to bring that passion to our live Angry Birds slingshot games, such as Angry Birds 2. However, players weren't too happy.
Yeah, of course
we
they
hope
want to be
those
happy.
fans can continue to bring that passion to our other games which have been designed to be more psychologically manipulative and stuffed with more microtransactions. Fixed it for you. The drama was so severe, it seemingly halted any future games, as Angry Birds Classic is still the most recent title, released way back in 2022. In 2023, Rovio was sold to Sega, although this has done little to fix their reputation. One recent tweet expressed, "I very much still love Angry Birds. That said, the current state of it is dog shit. My hope for the franchise is at an all-time low right now. I'll just continue to enjoy what I love about it, but it's sad to see what it's become. Despite everything, Angry Birds isn't finished, as they just announced they're making a third movie.
Oh, they're
although
making a
with the rest of the franchise in decline,
They're making a third one? Are you kidding me? That's like the most stupidest shit I heard. I know they're trying to make money, but Jesus Christ, just let it die. Let it die, let it die, let it shrivel up and